I can only imagine a couple of reasons. First off,
Oh, shoot.
Oh, hey.
Well, guys, welcome. You're in for a treat tonight because I've got, as you can tell by his glasses and his jersey, a Shaqtologist. If you don't know what that is, what exactly is a Shaqtologist?
Well, just a study of dominant basketball, quite frankly.
All right. And he has Tourette's, if you noticed, but he's getting through that. Well, we want to start out just telling you a little bit about my personal favorite basketball player and his life's passion, a man named Shaquille O'Neal. What are some of the nicknames that he has?
Oh man, the big Aristotle, the Shaqtus, most dominant ever, though he prefers to just refer to it as the NDE.
NDE, that's my favorite.
Yeah. I like the Shaqtus.
Shaqtus. Big Shamrock.
The Big Shamrock.
Shaq Attack. Shaq Fu.
Shaq
Diesel.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, a lot of good ones.
He was. He played in such memorable roles in Hollywood history as Kazam and Steel.
Right. Great movies. Great movies.
Classics, actually.
What some of his basketball stats?
Well, Shaquille O'Neal was a 15-time All-Star. He was Rookie of the Year in 1992-93 season. He also was a 4-time NBA championship, 3 of which he won a Finals MVP trophy for, and he was a 1-time NBA MVP, which that was kind of robbed. He should have been MVP like 2 or 3 times in his career. But when you're that good, people undervalue you.
Any collegiate awards?
He was Collegiate Player of the Year at LSU. He was an LSU Tiger. He changed the game of basketball in a lot of ways. You don't hear of Hackett Dwight. I mean, they didn't start that with him.
Who's that?
I don't know, some guy now. I don't.
Oh, no,
played rugby.
Superman.
He was Superman. He also originated nicknames for other players, such as Flash for Dwayne Wade and the Truth for Paul Pierce.
That's right. I don't like Paul Pierce though. All right.
Just pales in comparison.
Yeah, you probably haven't even heard of him. That's okay.
Yeah.
Did he ever lead the league in scoring?
I believe he did it once.
Shaqtologist put the test. He did once. You're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. I studied a little bit. I was going to test you. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Now, something I want to talk about our students. You know a lot about Shaq, right?
I mean, he's a big man. A lot of things to know.
I know a lot about Shaq. See it. I've got a collection from when I was 10 years old. And, I like him a lot, but I don't know him personally. Do you know Shaq personally?
I wish I could say I did. I wish I could say we went for walks, maybe bike rides, maybe just spend a day picnicking in the park.
But you haven't?
No.
Sad. I haven't either. I've dreamt of such days.
And what a dream it is.
But yet to happen.
Oh.
So even though we know a lot about Shaq, we don't know him personally. We can't call him on the phone and say, Shaq, you want to go for a walk through the park?
Well, not since the restraining order.
That's true. Oh, yeah. Those do come into play. So the reason we're telling you about this and I talk about Shaq is because I'm afraid that sometimes we do that with God in our lives. We know a lot about God, but we don't really know it. Let me tell you a little about a guy named Samuel. We're going through the Old Testament, and you heard a little bit about Samuel already tonight. But as a Shaqtologist, do you know anything about Samuel? Do you remember Samuel in the Bible?
I'm sorry, Shaqtologist, not Samuelologist. Did he have a last name?
I don't think so.
Was he from New York? I think I know a Samuel from New York.
Different guy, probably. This was a long time ago. This Samuel, I'll tell you a little bit about him. Samuel was born about 1,100 years before Jesus. You heard of Jesus, probably?
Once or twice.
A couple times. Samuel had a mom named Hannah. He was kind of a miraculous birth, and his mother devoted him to God's service before he was even born. He was the last of Israel's judges, which is like kind of a ruler that they had. He was the first of God's prophets. Samuel was also the one who brought Israel their first king, King Saul, and he found David. You've heard of David with his famous battle, David and Goliath. And,
this guy sounds somewhat important.
Yeah, Samuel's a pretty important guy. He's a cool guy. He was, talk about Saul and David, he was 25 years older than Saul, 65 years older than David, so he was getting pretty old during David's reign as king. But I want to read you a story about Samuel. And our Shaqtologist will stay here because he doesn't know about Samuel, so he's going to learn about him. So it starts in 1 Samuel chapter 3. So if you have a Bible with you, read along with us if you'd like. If not, then whatever. So in 1 Samuel 3, in verse 4, it says, "Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, 'Here I am.' And he ran to Eli and said, 'Here I am, you called me.'" See, Samuel was he was working with a man named Eli, training under him. His whole life, he worked in this temple. And part of the perks of that, well, it's tabernacle, not a temple, was he got to live there as well. His bed was there, and Eli stayed there too. So Samuel heard this voice, he assumed it was Eli. So he goes to Eli. Eli says, "I didn't call you, go back and lie down." So he went and lay down. Again, the Lord called, "Samuel." And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, you called me." "My son," Eli said, "I did not call, go back and lie down." Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. Hear that verse. Samuel did not yet know the Lord. Remember that. That's what we're talking about tonight. Verse 8, the Lord called Samuel a third time. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, you called me." Eli realized then that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, "Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling, as at the other times, "Samuel, Samuel." And then Samuel said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." I'm sorry, guys. Our Shaq just pooped his pants, and he had to leave, and I got sick and threw up all over my sweater. So we took his chair away as well. It smelled disgusting. But we see in that account from Samuel's life, you know, when he moved from knowing about God to knowing God. For Samuel, his whole life, he grew up working in the tabernacle under Eli, and he learned about God. He was serving God with his life, but he never really knew him. He just knew about him. So we see here the beginning of Samuel's true relationship with God when he speaks to him face to face, as Samuel becomes a great leader for Israel as he anoints King Saul, anoints King David, and serves as their mentors and spiritual guides through those times. So tonight, as we look at Samuel's life, I want you guys to just start thinking about your own. Where are you? Do you know a lot about God, or do you really know God? Because we can get trapped in that knowing about Him. I'm sure you can tell me a lot about. We've been talking about the Old Testament and the things that God has done for the Israelites. We just looked at Jesus' life and everything that He did, and I'm sure you know a lot about Him. But do you guys really know Him? When you get in your small groups tonight, you're going to be talking about that, and I just encourage you to open up and share where you are and start thinking about how we can move from really knowing about God to knowing Him. Because, guys, God desires your heart. That's what He wants. He doesn't want you to just serve Him as a slave, to try to please Him, to just know everything there is to know about Him. What He wants, first and foremost, is your love, your devotion, your heart, because that's what He's given to you. He loves you, and He just wants your love in return. So, I'm going to show you a video here next. It's a great, just a sermon that a man preached about who Jesus is, and it asks us that question: do you know Him? So, I'll leave you with that. Have a great time, and see you guys next week.